Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. How are y'all today? So, welcome to SGC Live once more. For those who are joining us for the first time, this is the live version of the what do you call that? The live version of our group cultivation. SGC stands for Spiritual Group Cultivation. We used to have it in the Buddhist library, but because of the corona virus, the COVID-19, so we have shifted online. So last week I made a request for everyone to post the topic of interest that you'd like me to share on. How come there are people crying? the smiley face, there are people crying. So last week I posted, I asked for viewers to post topics of interest and also questions that you all may have. So far I've received one message. So I'm going to cover that question. So it comes from one of you, and I'm going to share the background a bit with the names omitted. So this student of mine shares that so at her home she's facing a certain problem, and it is to do with the tap. So whenever her neighbor uses the tap, then her house tap would rattle, and then to the point where it actually caused the tap to leak. So that's quite extreme. So it also creates vibration and sound. So she reported, she asked the neighbor to do something about it, and then she also reported to the authorities to look into it. So they did some tests, and then initially it was thought that it was her own tap that's the problem. But then after changing her tap, it still rattles, it still makes a sound. And mind you, it's without her using. So it's it's because of the piping connected to the neighbor's side. So later on, she reported again, and then it was discovered that the neighbor actually uses pressure piping, and because of that, when the neighbor uses, then the pressure causes vibration on her side. But when she went forward to ask her neighbor to do something about it, her neighbor gave her a very interesting retort. The neighbor said that she, being a Buddhist, how can she be so? How can she be like that? Why isn't she compassionate? Something like that. That her neighbor expects her as a Buddhist to just accept it. That as a Buddhist you shouldn't ask us to change our tap. So this is the predicament that this student asked. So today we're going to talk about patience. I'm going to share with you one or two sutta regarding this. So there's this sutta called Simile of a saw. It's the Kakacupama Sutta from Majjhima Nikaya, number 21. I'm going to send you all the link so you all can take a look. It's available in access2insight.org. It's also accessible on dharmatalks.org. So let me just post it up. So I'll post both links so y'all can choose which one you want to read. Yeah. The simile of the saw. So this is a sutta. This sutta is very interesting because let me see. The one that I shared in dharmatalks.org is the complete one. Yeah. Good afternoon to those who just joined us. Tracy, Singip, Sui Heng, Christina, Aili, Venerable Ratana Sara. Very pleased to see Venerable Ratana Sara online. So in this sutta, I'm going to just read some parts of it and then share with you. I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying near Savatthi in Jetasworth, Anathapindika's monastery. Now on that occasion, Venerable Molliya Pugana was spending too much time entangled with the nuns. This is how much he was spending time entangled with the nuns. How much? Yeah. So the backdrop, there's this monk who had some issue in the community, and then he would in a way quarrel with them, with others, and then the Buddha shared a story. So the sutta, I'm going to just read part of it, and then you all can take a look. Okay. So he was very intertwined with the nuns to the extent where if anyone were to speak in dispraise of the nuns in his presence, he would be angered, displeased, and would make an issue of it. Yeah. And if any monk were to speak in dispraise of him in presence of the nuns, they would be angered, displeased, and make an issue of it. Yeah. So this is how intertwined he is. So then one of the monks went to the Buddha and then shared the situation. Then the Buddha called him over. Yeah. So called him over and asked him, whether this situation is true. Yeah. The Buddha is very interesting. We can, in a way, we can learn a lot from the Buddha. Well, of course, we can learn a lot from the Buddha. But many times you see that when something happened, the monks or nuns or the lay people would report it to the Buddha and consult him. Yeah, in a way he'll be like the arbiter. He will decide on the matter. But he don't just listen to one side. He will ask the said person to verify. Yeah, and this is what he did. Then the Buddha asked him whether he is a cleansed man who has gone forth from homeless life into homelessness out of conviction. And this Venerable Pugana said, yes, Lord. So then he replied, he said that it's not fitting for you to do that in that case. Not fitting for him to be so embroiled, so tight. In today's lingo, it be being so tight with the nuns. Yeah. And that he should abandon any desires related to household life and any thought related to the household life. And then he should train himself. My mind will be unaffected. I will say no evil words. I will remain sympathetic to that person's welfare, and with a mind of goodwill and with no inner hate. That's how you should train yourself. Yeah. So this is where it becomes interesting. Yeah. So prior to seeing the Buddha, this monk would get upset even if someone says something about the nuns. Now the Buddha is saying you should remain with your mind unaffected, and not say any evil words. That means even no matter what happens, you should not say anything unwholesome. And you should remain sympathetic to that person's welfare. That means wishing for welfare towards others, regardless of what they say, with a mind of goodwill, with no inner hate. To what extent? To the extent where even if the nuns, that means the nuns in this case is whom he is very close to, that means he cares a lot for them. In a way, in our daily life, this is very true also, isn't it? Sometimes we can practice patience towards others when people say hurtful things to us. But when something hurtful is said to our loved ones, maybe we cannot take it. So the Buddha's advice is to practice goodwill, to practice in a way to have no inner hate. To what extent? To the extent where even if someone were to give a blow with a hand, a stone or a rod, or even with a knife, this maybe most of us maybe cannot take it, even with a knife. To the person that we care for, in this case the nuns for Venerable Pugana, that he should abandon any desires related to household life, any thoughts related to the household life. That his mind should be unaffected. He should train himself to the point where the mind is unaffected, that he will not say any evil words, remain sympathetic to the person's welfare with a mind of goodwill and no inner hate. Then if someone were to speak dispraise of yourself, you should of course also do the same. And if someone were to physically hurt you, you should do the same. So then the Buddha addressed the monks, how the monks used to satisfy my mind. There was a case, monks, when I addressed the monks, that means the Buddha is sharing how in the past the monks in a way fit with how the Buddha expect them to practice. So the monks used to the Buddha used to tell the monks that he eat a single meal a day. So eating a single meal a day, the Buddha perceived no illness, next to no illness, next to no affliction, lightness, strength, and a comfortable abiding. So you too should eat a single meal. 日中一食, 1 meal a day, the noon meal. Eating a single meal, a day, you too will perceive next to no illness, next to no afflictions, lightness, strength, and a comfortable abiding. I had no need for instructions for those monks. I needed only to arouse mindfulness in them. So the Buddha is saying that in the past there were monks to whom it is easy for him to train. He just need to teach them on mindfulness. No need to say too much. So then the Buddha go further, giving the example of the 4 kinds of the chariots at 4 crossroads, with different horses, or with the horses, and the horses would go whichever direction that the dexterous driver would steer them. Just like how the Buddha, he didn't have to give too much instructions. No need to give much instructions. He just need to arouse mindfulness in them. So the Buddha in this way tell the monks that they should commit themselves to skillful qualities, to train. And in a way, this is with respect to Venerable Pugana, that for the Buddha to have to tell him, you must not allow yourself to arise anger. It means that in the past, before that, the monks didn't need this kind of instructions. So then the Buddha gave one what do you call it? This parable. This is not a parable. This is actually a story. Shared with him a story. Shared with them a story. There's this lady of a household named Vedihika, and this is in Savatthi. So this lady Vedihika, this lady Vedihika had a certain reputation. The reputation was that Lady Vedihika is gentle, is mild-tempered, is calm. So three qualities: gentle, mild-tempered, and calm. So this lady Vedihika had a slave named Kali. Kali was diligent, deft, and neat. Deft, not deaf. Deft. That means very nimble, good at what she is doing, and neat in her work. So then this Kali, the slave, this servant, this slave, had this thought: my lady Vedihika has this report about her, that she's gentle, she's mild-tempered, and she's calm. Then she has this question: is anger present in my lady without showing, or is it absent? Or is it just because I'm diligent, deft, and neat in my work that the anger present in my lady doesn't show? Why don't I test her? Do you all meet people who test you? Or are you all the tester? Do you all like to test people? So this servant, this slave, had this thought: maybe my lady has this good reputation, being gentle, mild-tempered, and calm. But the truth is, maybe she has anger. But it's just that I'm a very good worker. Because I'm a very good worker, that's why she can be gentle, she can be mild-tempered, and she can become. Or is it that she is really so, that it's not because of me? So this Kali had this thought. Then she thought maybe that she can test her out. So Kali, the slave, got up after daybreak. Meaning that usually the servant would wake up after daybreak. So on the first day, she got up after daybreak. Then the lady, her lady Vedihika said to her, "Hey Kali." So she replied, "What, madam? Why did you get up after daybreak?" "No reason, madam." No reason. Oh, this is really quite funny. "No reason, you wicked slave, and yet you get up after daybreak?" Angered and displeased, she scowled. So this is the first day. So after this, Kali, the slave, had this thought: anger is present in my lady without showing, and not absent. And it's just because I'm diligent, deft, and neat in my work that the anger present in my lady doesn't show. Why don't I test her some more? Please don't go to work and test people, or test people at home. I think life is difficult enough. So the next day, or another time, Kali got up even later. First, she was supposed to wake up before daybreak. Then she wake up after daybreak. Now she got up even later in the day. So the lady asked, "Hey Kali." "What, madam? Why did you get up later in the day?" And again she replied, "No reason." So again the lady got angered and displeased and scolded her. "No reason, you wicked slave, and yet you get up later in the day." So again, this Kali had this thought, that's really anger. So decided to test her more. Wow. Don't know whether lucky or unlucky. Huh? This is the true teacher of our patience. So so Kali got up even later in the day. Yeah. Then Lady Vedika said to her, "Hey Kali," again asked same question, and again she just said no reason. So on the third day what happened? On the third day, the lady got so upset, scolded her, "No reason, you wicked slave, and yet you get up even later in the day." And angered and displeased, she grabbed hold of a rolling pin and gave her a whack over the head, cutting it open. Wow. Then Kali, the slave with blood streaming from her cut open head, went and denounced her mistress to the neighbors. "See, ladies, the gentle one's handiwork, the mild-tempered one's handiwork. See the calm one's handiwork. How could she, angered and displeased with her only slave for getting up after daybreak, grab hold of a rolling pin and give her a whack over the head, cutting it open?" So after this, this Lady Vihika became known as the Lady Vihika, who is vicious, foul-tempered and violent. Yeah, so the Buddha advised the monks, "A monk may be ever so gentle, ever so mild-tempered, ever so calm, as long as he is not touched by disagreeable aspects of speech. But it is only when disagreeable aspects of speech touch him that he can truly be known as gentle, mild-tempered and calm. I don't call him a monk easy to admonish if he is easy to admonish and makes himself easy to admonish only by reason of robes, alms, food, lodging and medicinal requisites for curing the sick. Why is that? Because if he doesn't get robes, alms, food, lodging and medicinal requisites for curing the sick, then he isn't easy to admonish and doesn't make himself easy to admonish. But if a monk is easy to admonish and makes himself easy to admonish purely out of esteem for the Dharma, respect for the Dharma, reverence for the Dharma, then I call him easy to admonish. So monks, you should train yourselves. We will be easy to admonish and make ourselves easy to admonish purely out of esteem for the Dharma, respect for the Dharma, reverence for the Dharma. That's how you should train yourself. This sutta has quite a few other areas. Yeah. I'm going to just go down to the last part, which talk about the simile of the saw. Later, if we have time, I'll go through, because the Buddha also highlighted 5 aspects of speech. Yeah. So the Buddha said, monks, even if bandits were to carve you up savagely, limb after limb, with a 2-handed saw, he among you who let his heart get angered, even at that, would not be doing my bidding. Even then, you should train yourselves. Our minds will be unaffected, and we will say no evil words. We will remain sympathetic, with a mind of goodwill, and with no inner hate. We will keep pervading these people with an awareness imbued with goodwill, and beginning with them. We will keep pervading the all-encompassing world with an awareness imbued with goodwill, abundant, enlarged, immeasurable, free from hostility, free from ill will. That's how you should train yourself. Monks, if you attend constantly to this admonition on the simile of the saw, do you see any aspects of speech, slight or gross, that you cannot endure? The monks replied, no. Then the Buddha said, then attend constantly to this admonition on the simile of the saw. That will be for your long-term welfare and benefit and happiness. That is what the Blessed One said. Gratified, the monks delighted in the Blessed One's words. So a few things. For one, we may notice that this is the Buddha's instructions to the monks. Yeah, number one. So we may think, but Sifu, this is for monks, ma. We all are lay people. Yeah, not relevant to you all. The Buddha said, anyone who seek to remove evil, to purify themselves, can be known as a monk, as an ascetic. Yeah. If we look at most of the suttas are for monks. Because that's the audience, that's the person that the Buddha was teaching most of the time. But if you think about it, what's the purpose of monkhood? It is to attain liberation. Does it mean that only monks want liberation? Lay people also want liberation, is it? What is liberation? Liberation from suffering. So if you want liberation from suffering, the teachings for the monks, by and large, should apply to us, especially for this. Yeah. But the second thing that you may also observe is the earlier story has the lady Vedika attacking the slave Kali. But in this case, my student didn't attack. This student of mine just merely went over, asked the neighbor to change the tap. Yeah. So this is, I shared this sutta, but I also want to highlight, sometimes people throw us, use the you are a Buddhist card, yeah, to manipulate us, to in a way emotionally blackmail us, strong arm us to do what they want us to do. Oh, because I'm a Buddhist, so I cannot ask you to change. I cannot ask you to do some changes. No, I don't think that's right, especially if you are living in the same building, and if your fixture that is non-standard affects your neighbor has then you have the right to, if person A install a certain fixture that disturbs person B, and this is a building that you are staying in, just because you are Buddhist, doesn't mean that we have to then bear with anything that comes. There's a difference between speaking our mind versus getting upset over it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with speaking our mind. You think about it, the Buddha also speak his mind. What? The Buddha wants the monks to change also, right? I think sometimes we may have the impression that either that because someone is a Buddhist, so we can expect them to bend over, like a doormat, like whatever other people wishes, then we must go along. Yeah, I don't see why we cannot bring this up. The challenge is to bring it up without anger or displeasure. This is not so easy. If we just don't bring up, maybe easier. Yeah, easier ma. We just endure lor. But can you endure? Can you put up with it without anger and displeasure? Because speaking up or not speaking up, to me, is not so much the problem. Yeah, if you can accept it without anger and displeasure, then that's okay also. But if you speak up without anger and displeasure, also okay. Yeah, but not so easy. Not so easy. So this is one area that we can, in a way, practice patience also. Yeah. I have just shifted. In the previous place that I stayed in, my neighbor, because it's the devotee who offered me the place to stay. That place is a private house, so the neighbors are actually just one wall apart, and it's a two lane street, and the neighbors opposite is just two lanes away. Yeah. So I had this neighbor who has this interesting what do you call that? They have this activity that at about 11 plus 12 they will start a gathering, and they like to sit in the balcony area and chit chat. You know, friends get together, they chit chat, and then they will laugh, and they will, I don't know whether they drink, but they will make merry and they will chit chat, and you know, yeah. And the challenging part is they will do this the whole night until 5 plus 6 o'clock 7, when literally for the whole night. And then at the end of the day, or rather at the start of the next day, then they will end. So yeah, fortunately it didn't happen too often. Yeah, but the past 1-2 months during the festive Chinese New Year period, they really did that quite a bit. Yeah, Tracy says, yeah, she agree, need to bring up without anger. Yes, I think I'll bring up. So in my case, yeah, I thought of bringing up to them also. Because I think to do it in the middle of the night, where the conversation and the laughter is heard, it's not directly opposite also. It's 1 or 2 units adjacent, and then it's opposite. But I can hear it. Yeah, when I shared with a student, he said something very funny. He said, "Shifu, this is your problem." Huh? Why is it my problem? He said, "Because you don't sleep with aircon." I'm like, huh? And he said, this is a landed property, so everybody here sleep with the aircon on. The windows are closed, so it doesn't disturb anybody except you. So you are the problem. I thought we had a good laugh over that. Yeah. In the end, I didn't tell them anything. I think this is the nature of this world. Unless you can go and buy an island, otherwise very difficult. Yeah. Having said that, I think it's give and take. Yeah. It's give and take. The challenge is, one, how can we bring it up without being angered or displeased? 2, how can we bring it up and be able to convince the other person to help us solve this problem? Oftentimes, we will find that if you bring it up by telling the person that the person has a problem, it's less likely that people want to do anything about it. But if we somehow, I don't say that it's easier, and sometimes it's just very difficult. If we can somehow get the person to see this not as your problem, not as his problem, but as a problem to be solved, and to enlist that person to help out to solve this problem. That means that person is rendering you help. Sometimes people are more willing to. Yeah. Yeah. So to me, the first thing is to check ourselves whether there's anger and displeasure. Yeah. I say this not. I don't think it's easier. Sometimes all of you who are watching this, you must know that it is easy for us to talk about it now, but not so easy when it's happening to you. Especially when, let's say, at 10 plus 11 you're about to sleep, and then your neighbor go and water the plants, go and wash the whatever, and then your tap just yeah. Of course, some of us get used to it. But if you are not feeling well, the slightest sound can be very disturbing also. So, as always, number one, keep calm yourself. Number two, if you can, do something about it without getting angry. But if you can't, then you just have to accept. You really, at the end of the day, if you don't accept, then how? You want to move away over one tap? Yeah, not possible. So this is the sutta. I posted the link. You all can take a look at the sutta. Yeah, it's a very interesting sutta. Okay. Any other questions to ask? Just nice. 2:59. If you have any questions, you all can ask now. If I will just hold until about 3:05 or 3:10. Yeah. If you all have any questions or thoughts, you all can share. Self-help by wearing earplugs. Yeah, that's what someone suggested to me before regarding some other matters. Yeah. If you try wearing earplugs, you'll know. I tried wearing earplugs before. For some people it's okay. For me, when I wear earplugs, the air movement is a bit strange. Yeah, then my nose get affected. Yeah. Or maybe have to, I don't know. Yeah. If you try to change the outside world cannot be changed, then you have to change yourself. What to do? Let me see. I think that's about that. There's actually something funny. Huan Si said thank you. Don't mention. Oh, Lock John just shared. Neighbors from hell. Yeah, sometimes what we see usually is the end result. There's a lot of resentment that develop over time. Yeah. And yeah. Not easy for third party to comment also, because you're not the one who is facing the neighbor, you know. Because you never know, maybe party A has already tried being nice, festive, offer food, you know, then greet each other, but then the other person give you one face every day for whole year round, then how? Yeah. We can always say, oh, Buddha said, you know, no matter what happens, you must be calm, you must be kind. That, I think we should go towards that. Yeah. I don't mean to say that we should not do that. And I also don't mean to say that we shouldn't go in that direction. But I say that it's understandable if after putting in much effort, trying over, because neighbors is not just a one day thing, you know. It's not like you go to food court, then the opposite the person sitting next to you make a lot of noise, yeah, and then you're not happy. If you're at a food court, you know, at most you move to another table. Yeah. Otherwise you just bear with that one meal. After that it's over, ma. But neighbors is a bit tricky because, you know, day in day out. Yeah. So Esther says, we have very noisy neighbors even in the middle of the night, making so much noise. We just meditate to calm our minds and ears shut. Yeah. So if you can, you know, do something for yourself. But important thing is whether we seek the help of the authorities, because after 10 o'clock, if there's still a lot of noise, I think we can always, you know, just ask our neighbors nicely. Yeah. The trouble sometimes with people is when people ask you to not be so noisy, and then people are not happy. So I can also understand why some people choose not to go and speak up. Well, speak up. Then after, if you call up the neighborhood police, then your neighbors know that, oh, must be you lah. Just now you came and knocked on my door, ma. Now the police come, must be you. So nobody want to be the pai lama, right? Nobody want to be the bad guy. So what to do? Oh yeah, this is it. Maybe that's why the Buddha said the lay life is dusty, is noisy. Yeah. Stay in the forest better. Yeah, but cannot be helped. Wherever you stay, as I said, unless you go and buy an island. I wanted to also just share in cursory something quite interesting. So yesterday when I was going to NTU, the Grab driver started talking to me, you know, asking me why I become a monk. Yeah, it started off with him asking me how long I've been a monk, and I told him that, you know, guess. Then he asked me how old I am. Then I'm like, you're not guessing, but that's not guessing. And then we started talking. Then in the end, it turned out that he is actually an evangelist pastor. He said that about himself. He said that he's an evangelist and a pastor. Yeah. And for the most part of the journey, he was trying to share with me the good word. Yeah. So yeah. So at some point, I told him, I said, no, stop. You're switching into the preaching mode, in the evangelist mode. Then he's like, what do you mean? I told him, for the longest time, you know, evangelists, when they talk to you, they don't respect you. They only want to talk, they don't want to listen. Yeah, I mean, this is a fact, you know. I told him, I said, there's no conversation. Conversation is two ways. But if you only want to talk and you don't want to listen, then how is that respect? Jesus Christ teach you how to be respectful, right? Yeah. But anyway, we had an interesting conversation. Yeah, we exchanged. He asked for my number in the end. He said that no one has escaped him before. I told him I've been a monk longer than you are a pastor. Yeah. So he just texted me last night. I replied him today. Yeah, we probably have a meet up, catch up. Yeah, I personally don't mind because I know myself very well. I know Buddhism well enough to choose to become a monk, and I'm not a stranger to Christianity. Evangelists no less. Yeah, I have a lot of friends who are Christians. I've met a lot of evangelists on the street before. Yeah, I just thought that's funny. I wanted to just share with you. The trouble is, I told him, I said, you see, if the moment we want to convert people, we are not respecting people's religion, or at least we are not respecting their choice of religion. Yeah. And if everybody, yeah, in Singapore there are 10 major religions. I'm very sure if we try hard enough, once you ask me how young are you, yeah, guess. I think whichever religion you are, if you try hard enough, you can always find justification to go out, to preach, to try to proselytize. But if everybody do that, there'll be chaos, you know. Yeah. So I shared with him this funny story. I said, it's like a thought experiment. I said, imagine if someone go to your house and ask you whether your mother is in. And after you said, no, your mother is not in, and you ask why. And the person then said, I think your mother is not happy with your father. And that he knows someone who is more suitable. And ask your mother to contact him. And maybe go out for a date. You know, get to know the other guy. I don't see how anyone would be pleased with that. Yeah. So I asked him, like, will it be okay with it? And then he said, no, cannot, or something. Then I said, okay, so the question, the choice of marriage and the choice of religion, which is more sacred, which is more more important? It was quite funny. He said marriage. I'm like, huh? Hey, I reminded him, I said, you're a pastor, you know. How can you say that? Yeah. So I reminded him, I said, then he said, well, marriage is for a whole life, you know. Then I told him, but choice of religion is, for yours is eternal, no? How can you say that marriage is more important? Yeah, he didn't really give a clear answer. The point is, if you think about it, the choice of marriage versus choice of religion, the two of them, if you can compare them side by side, choice of religion should be more sacred, isn't it? Because choice of marriage is just a life partner. I mean, not just, but compared to religion is, more sacred. So my point to him was, if we get offended, if someone proposition to our mother over her choice of life partner of marriage, why should we be okay with people trying to proposition to us over our choice of religion? I'm not saying that we cannot share, but not to share unsolicitedly. Yeah. So, yeah, otherwise why are you all so... Let's not talk about Sutta, nobody comment. Sifu talk about about the Grab driver asking Sifu my age. You all are so curious. Sifu, how young are you? Young, but should have eldership already. Yeah. So anyway. Okay, so since there's no other questions or thoughts, we will end here. But don't be mistaken. My comments about earlier on is just my sharing of my conversation with this Grab driver. I also told him that it is not right for him to be proselytizing, to be sharing on religion when he's driving, or when he's like he said that he would share about the Bible when in the past when he was a salesman or something. I said this is not right. Because you are not being professional. When you're driving, you should be focusing on driving. If you want to share, you should be sharing on transport. Yeah, it's like if you go and see a doctor and the doctor start to share with you about maybe not Christianity. What if you go to see a doctor and the doctor tell you about Buddha? That's also not right. I don't say that it's not professional simply because it's a pastor, is an evangelist Christian. No, even if it's a Buddhist. Yeah. If you go to a public school and a teacher start to invite you to tell you, oh, you know, you want to study, you want to get good grades, you must pray to Guanyin Pusa. That's her. If the teacher has such a belief, that's her right. But should not share that in class. Yeah. Whether it's Buddhism, Christianity, Taoism, Hinduism, Islam, or otherwise. Yeah. Unless you are in a, I don't know, unless these students are your personal friends, you know, that's a different thing. In a public service, when you're in a service capacity, yeah, that's not right. But I don't think it will stop. Yeah. I just hope that we don't. Yeah. You see, I just think how to have harmony and peace if everybody try to replace, reduce, and remove other religion. Yeah. Like as though we don't have enough problem in this world as it is. Amitofo. Okay, let's wrap it up, and then I will have to start the other session, the Diamond Sutra. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。